So, what would you say your greatest weakness is? Or, so tell me, what would your manager say your biggest weakness is? Or how about this? If I was going to talk to some of your coworkers, what would they say your greatest developmental opportunity is? Any way you slice it, it's the same old question, what's your greatest weakness? And probably few other interview questions have generated more discussion on the right way to answer it. Well, today we're going to put that to bed, and I'm going to give you the correct format that's going to allow you to look good, answer it competently, and set yourself apart in the interviewing process. So, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Angelo Lombardo, and my whole thing is driving the philosophy of always play offense, which is not being passive, which is not being reactive, but it's about going out there and making things happen, especially in your career. And if you're not in your dream job, this is what I'm trying to do, is help you get it. So let's talk about this question. I'll start with a story. About, 6 or 7 years ago, I'm in an interview, and I'm the hiring manager, so I'm trying to fill the position. And we generally interview in panels, so there's a number of us interviewing a candidate. So it's generally myself and one or two of my counterparts that are doing the same job but in a different way, and an HR person. And about halfway through the interview, there was a candidate I really liked her resume, liked her background. Interview was going great, and then the HR manager fires off that question. So, as you evaluate yourself and your past, what are the areas that you think you need to improve on the most? Now, you could tell she had prepped for the question, but the way it was asked completely threw her off. I mean, again, it's the same old question. What's your greatest weakness? And she never quite recovered from the question. She answered it, but you can tell it rattled her because it didn't come in the format that she was expecting it, and she never quite recovered in the rest for the rest of the interview. And I was really torqued because I liked this candidate. I thought she was going to do a great job. And after the debrief, I kind of got on the HR person. And I told him, I said, why would you go and ask that question in the first place? I said, because quite frankly, I don't really care about their weaknesses. What I want to know is, can they do the job? What are their strengths? What are they going to bring to the role? And most importantly, are they results oriented? And he understood my frustration, and he actually came back with a pretty legitimate response. He said, Angelo, he goes, you're evaluating that person for how they're going to do now, and maybe even over the next couple of years. But how long do you want them on your team? And 5 years down the road, do you want somebody who has the same skills and the same way of doing things that they do today when the business has probably evolved? Or do you want someone who at least has the self-awareness to know what they need to to know what they need to do to improve? And as I thought about it, I said, you're right. And this person went on to say, hey, I'm not looking to sabotage. I don't expect them to come and blow themselves up in terms of their opportunity with the role. I just want to make sure that they have enough self-awareness that they recognize areas they got to improve, and more importantly, what they're doing about it. And so that is the answer to our question. So when you get asked that, recognize that the evaluators just want to make sure that you recognize that no one's perfect, that you've got things that need to be improved, but most importantly, what you're doing to improve them. And so here's the best way to answer that question. Are you ready? Goes back to the old saying, honesty is the best policy. Don't try to turn a strength into a weakness. I just work so many hours, I need to really take a step back. In fact, if I find out any of you actually ever use that interview answer, I'll come hunting you down with a stick, okay? Because everybody can see right through it, and it will totally screw up your impression in the interview. But when I say honesty is the best policy, Be very truthful about something that you're not good at and that you ultimately want to improve. But here's the key, all right? This is really important. It can't be anything that's going to affect your performance in the job you're interviewing for. So let me give you an example. If I was interviewing for an accounting position, for example, and that question came up, what's your greatest weakness? Or what would your manager say is your biggest developmental opportunity? Or, what would your coworkers say you need to work on? Any of those types of variations. You could say, I'm really self-conscious about voicing my opinions in a meeting or in a large gathering. And so so that's number one. Now the second piece of that is, what are you doing about it? So what I've done is I've taken a number of public speaking classes to learn how to frame my thoughts to be able to discuss that or to be able to share them persuasively. Legitimate weakness and what you're doing about it. But here's the key. If you're in accounting, the ability to speak in public is in no way going to affect your success in that job. Your success is going to be based on properly analyzing the numbers and being able to frame them up for people that are making decisions. On the other hand, if you were in a sales job, death. That would absolutely kill you. But here's the thing. Let's say you're in a sales job and that question gets asked you. You can flip it around. It'd be like, I'm competent with numbers, but I need to get better at the accounting portion of our business so that when I'm discussing contracts, deals, finances, that I can speak with a lot of confidence to our finance and accounting department. Again, your ability, your C-level knowledge of accounting is in no way going to affect your ability to go out and sell, but it shows that you recognize you have an area for improvement. And what are you doing about it? So then the second part of that question would be, so I've started taking courses at night in accounting to shore up that gap. And if you answer it in that way, it's a legitimate business-related answer. It doesn't look contrived. It doesn't look like you're trying to hustle anybody. It shows you're self-aware, which is what you're being evaluated for on that question, but it also shows that you're doing something about it. And if you answer it, you're going to be in great shape every time. So let's go back. Again, two things. Number one, give a legitimate weakness. Number two, talk about what you're doing to improve on that weakness. But again, the weakness cannot be anything that's going to affect your ability to be successful in that job. And one of the ways you can double check just to make sure is when you're looking at the job posting, the qualifications for the role, none of your weaknesses are going to be anything on that qualifications. Whatever's not on that list is fair game. Again, as long as it's not going to affect your ability to do the job. So what your weakness is and what you're doing to improve on that. And if you do that, you are going to nail that interview question. And when you're done, they're going to call the police because you just killed your interview. Good luck, keep the faith, and always play offense, especially in your career. I'll talk to you soon.